Hello, and welcome to day three of our 12 days of gift giveaways. The next 9 days, the goal is to provide parents of teens and organizations that work with teens practical, creative, tangible tips, tools, strategies, and resources in which they can develop the totality of their student. And you'll hear more about that after this introduction that I'm going to play for you.
Just imagine if your dreams at 16 and 18 had its very own personal career coach. Literally, that's what I am for students nationwide. I'm Lanita Hostin, and parents, godparents, aunts, and uncles, they hire me to coach their most prized possessions, typically in the form of high school students, on how to identify and go after their dream career. So I'm excited that you're joining me today for my 12 days of giveaways. If you are a parent or a member of a student's tribe, you're in the right place. I got some goodies for you. Let's get started.
Awesome. Listen, I do what I do because I want to see more young men and young women on fire and doing the thing that they love. And you know this, you work differently when you enjoy your work. You feel differently. You sleep better. At least the science is saying that we sleep better. You have fulfillment and purpose in what you're doing. And as a byproduct of all of those things, those whom are around you also feel your happiness. And so I want more people to feel like that. And that's ultimately the reason why I do the work that I do with students. And I particularly target parents because a lot of a student's development happens in the home. If you were in our Power Parent series, I mentioned to you that the home is a child's or student's NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit for their development. And so parents are instrumental, they're critical, they're valuable, they're invaluable. And so we can't quantify your involvement, but we can further develop and nurture some of those skills. And so that's always my intent when I come on live, just simply that. So if you're watching today, you can type in the comments, hey, I'm here. Let me know where you're watching from if we have not yet met before. And if you happen to be catching the replay of today's content, you can type in hashtag replay when you get a chance. So I mentioned to you prior before we went and had the introduction video that the purpose of a lot of the content that we'll be discussing in the next 12 days, well, 9 now because we're on day three, is to nurture the totality of your child or your student. And what I mean by that is how they express themselves, how they approach conflict, how they're communicating their interests, how they are, I guess, showing up at school and at home, and then how you all are communicating together. So to me, that's the totality that makes up whom they are. So each of the gifts that will be given out to you each day will address those things. And so tonight's gift is we're gonna do five. We're gonna do five um, online career development resources for parents. And so I basically searched the internet for about 10 hours a few weeks ago looking for ways in which, or free platforms that help parents kind of narrow down or help self direct their student in identifying what their interests are and how their interests align with potential career paths. And people often ask me, do you teach students on entrepreneurship or do you only teach on traditional career topics? And I don't limit myself to either lane. They all start the same way with a plan. And so there are five resources that I researched that I want to share with you, and they will be downloadable in a PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the comments for you to download. And again, I mentioned to you that if you are here for each of the days, I know you have to enter your email each time. My team and I were working through that, but we couldn't find a solution. But we will not take your email twice. So it won't register you twice. But once you enter it in the first day, it'll automatically register for the rest. And so I wanted to highlight there are two sites on here that I absolutely love. One is learnhowtobecome.org, and you'll see it on here. But the reason why I love this site is because you can very well pull up the website with your student and actually ask them what are their interests or what do they think their interest is. And there's a host, the depth of examples are incredible. and they can pick it and see tons of articles on what they can be doing now, what types of skills they need to be building in middle school, high school. It gives them a real life picture of, okay, I'm interested in this later, but as I am maturing now, these are some of the things that I can do. I have not yet seen that in that robust way on any other site. And so I think that you'd really appreciate that. One of there are two common sites that I hear guidance counselors and those who like do college prep coaching, and I'm neither of the two. There are two sites that I often hear them reference, and that's Naviance and College Board. Both, I don't have any, ill feelings towards them, but I do think there's the depth of career options for you to see from a maybe a very deep lens. I don't particularly get from those two things. And so that's why you won't find those two websites on this list. So I really did dig deep and dirty. And before I take any questions that you may have, you can drop them in the comments box if you have any related to the resource or any questions related to career development for your student. You can drop them. But I'll share this. One of my student clients in New Jersey, he's a junior, high school junior. When him and I first had our first coaching session, and I told him the whole goal is that you would get very crystal clear about your dream career. And at the end of our 10 weeks together, you would have a 4-year plan to implement the start of your high school senior year. And his first thing he said was, "Are you going to be using Naviance?" And I laughed because I remember using that tool as a high school student. Well, I remember it being available. I didn't use it. And I laughed and I said, "There's nothing that we will be doing that is available on the internet, period." And he was like, "Okay, great, because I'm tired of looking at that site." And that's not to denounce the site, it's available. But sometimes, depending on the kind of student you have, the information has to be tailored to them and their particular learning style. And so I really do pride myself on bringing alive the content that we may see static on a website in our coaching calls with our clients. And so, hello, Marshawn. It says, "Do we need to enter Yeah, I actually just reviewed that. I apologize. My team and I were looking for ways in which we did not have to do that. But yes, each day for the past 12 days, please forgive me in advance. You will have to enter daily your email address. We won't capture it each time, meaning save it, but you will have to enter it to get the download. I'm sorry about that. We're going to try and find a way to avoid that the next go around, but we really did um, think through other options because ideally that would not have been our preference. And so, again, I'm gifting parents these websites because I value early career development. And maybe I should break down the term career development is really exposure into a student's interests, their innate interests, and natural skills and ability. And so sometimes that transitions into what we call a career path. That's a more mature word. But what I'm really prompting parents to do is help your student explore what they're good at, what they value, what they like, and how that could potentially be monetized. So we call it career development, but if I had to break it down, it's really exploring their natural interests and talents. And so each of the giveaways this for the next 9 days will look to develop that exploration of their innate, that natural, that deep down didn't take much to do um, abilities that they have. So I promise that I won't keep you long each night, less than 10 minutes. We're already at 8 minutes. If anyone doesn't have any questions, um, I'm going to close out by saying tomorrow and Friday gifts are my two faves. Tomorrow and Friday. So make sure you come back for each of the gifts that are available. And I also want to thank you for joining us tonight. And if you have questions that you can't think of as quickly, I will definitely answer them if you leave them in the comments box and I don't get to you while we're live. I'll come back and I'll circle back to answer your questions. Marshawn says, "Awesome. That's the least we can do to receive the wealth of information you're gifting to us as parents." You're very welcome. And thank you for that. Yesterday, I had a conversation with an urban educator of a collegiate campus down in North Carolina, and I asked him, he works particularly with urban students. Well, they classify them as such. And I asked him, "What do you find are the common barriers to students not obtaining their degree?" So, what's the common barrier for urban students as it relates to degree obtainment? And the first thing that he said is lack of information and how the information is distributed through channels and school systems And he said that he was not speaking against the systems, but that there's sometimes more students than there are staff. And so, unless a student is completely ambitious, very communicative, very on top of their game, sometimes there's some challenges, some barriers, what I call road bumps to them getting the information to prepare them for life after high school. And I chuckled because that is the whole goal of every time I jump behind this camera is to give the information away to parents who are hungry and want the information. So Marshawn, your confirmation that the 12-day gift giveaway is definitely purposeful. So I'll close out by saying thank you again for joining tonight's 12 Days of Gift Giveaways. I'm Lanita Hosting, your favorite student success strategist, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow promptly at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.